Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are back here at the chicken coop and we are going to be planting some shrubs that are going to define my border between the chicken coop gardens, like immediately right here at the chicken coop, and then the cottage garden, hydrangea hill, and so forth. So I thought it would be fun to bring you along for the journey as I kind of flesh out my ideas and dreams in my head for what this space is going to look like and start putting some definite borders on it and make it a reality. So let's just talk about where we are, what has happened, a little bit of a quick recap, and then I'm going to explain to you my thought process on how we are going to go about today. Of course, here we are at the chicken coop. The chicken coop is only just a few months old. We've got 9 sweet girls in there. You'll probably be able to see them. They've had their breakfast in there, and they currently are supposed to be eating on a watermelon, but I think they're happy from their breakfast. This space up here right against the chicken coop, this bed here will always be annuals. That way I can have fun, I can switch it out, I can give seasonal color. You can see that it is clearly a very happy space with sweet potato vine and coleus and cleome. If you missed that video where we planted it, I will of course link that for you so you can check it out. Now, give you a big kind of perspective idea on the space. This is the area that we're going to be working in today. This is the gardens that we're developing here. Below that, we have what I call hydrangea hill. Yes, you're going to see that I need to do some weeding. We'll take care of that at some point. But hydrangea hill has firelight hydrangeas. There are 5 of them here. These are a couple of years old, gosh, probably maybe 5 years old. So I designed this flower bed to look at it from the house up. So the firelights are going to be kind of the tallest, beautiful hydrangeas. Love these. Below that we have little limes, and then beyond that is, of course, the garden boxes, the cottage garden, and so forth. Everybody asks what this tree is whenever we're here. This is a crepe myrtle. I do not know the exact variety cultivar of this because it was supposed to be a white one that went in the front of the house, and when it bloomed for the first time, clearly it is not white. It is a kind of a lilac-y purple pink color. So we moved it up here, and we are hoping that since we took out the trees from the chicken coop that this will start to fill in back here. But that kind of gives you an idea, a big perspective of this space, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do today. Now, we'll address the elephant in the room because you saw me plant these 3 pufferfish right here. There's 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, one struggle bus. It looks like it's definitely dying. I have baby this, and it is just not happy whatsoever. Other 2 doing great. I'm just going to leave this for now, wait for cooler temperatures, and then I will replace it. So the idea for this flower bed, this whole space, is that I want these gardens to really kind of flow into each other. This is definitely going to be kind of a extenuation of the cottage garden in the fact of that it's going to be very free flowing. There's not going to be hard borders. I may have ones of things, like specimens of things. Maybe I'll put some groups of 3 like the pufferfish in here. This is just a space where I'm gonna have fun. This is my garden, not anything like plant specific. I can do natives, I can do brand new varieties, just whatever strikes my fancy, that is what we're gonna put in here. But I want this to be a very natural looking area as far as no hard lines, and the beds just blend into one another. So in order to do that, and as we're going into the fall, I have more areas that need to be, borders that need to be defined so that I can fill in from the various areas. You'll probably see that I have a yellow hose laid out here. This is going to be basically kind of my rough line of where I want the shrubs, the plants on this side of the garden just to kiss this side. Where Brenna is standing would be the path. So I just want to have a general walking path. Maybe if I need to get my garden cart through here, not necessarily that a machine is going to get through here, although the small bobcat could easily fit. Johnny would be probably a little tight, and the big bobcat would be a little bit tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant a few shrubs, some evergreen shrubs and some flowering shrubs along this area right here to kind of fill in and give me defined space in this area. As we move down here on the end, you can see probably where the hose has ended right here at the tip, because I do need to keep this area pretty much open, because when we need to replace mulch, Jerry needs to be able to get through this area right here with the large bobcat. So this section will always be open, and probably we'll end up doing steps as we go down, because that's a pretty steep little area right here. So we're going to put some sort of entry into this garden here. Again, it will not be a hard edge. I'm not going to do a hard defined border. It'll be just, this is free of plants and people can easily walk through here. As it progresses this way, we're going to clear out this underbrush, just the junk in here. All the trees are staying, and this will develop into like a shade garden. So that kind of gives you the idea of this space. So what are we going to be putting in here today? Well, let's talk about that. One thing that we are going to do, I have changed my mind just slightly from last week when we were here and we planted the violet cascade butterfly bush. So the violet cascade is right here, turning ever so slightly, right here up at the tippy top. When I planted this, you might be able to see that it's a little bit like water would kind of come right through here. Now she is clearly doing just fine. She is happy. I have not watered her at all and doing quite well. However, I'm going to move her and put a hibiscus here. So I'm going to put a perennial hibiscus right here, and then we're going to move Miss Violet Cascade somewhere down in a sunnier location, somewhere down here, definitely be a drier area. So that's what we're going to do. So let me show you. I've got all my sweet peeps with me here today. This little area is my collection of pots and plants that eventually will all get worked into this area. Got them up here. Yesterday was Sunday, so I didn't come up here and water. I got two little puffer fishes that are like, we're screaming for water this morning. Everybody's been watered, so don't worry, they'll perk back up and be just fine. But up here we have, let's start with the hibiscus, because she has a flower on her, so she's fun. This is the Starry Night perennial hibiscus from our friends at Walter's Gardens. We talked about this the other day in one of the nursery tours. So Starry Night is a beautiful perennial hibiscus, full sun to part shade. The more sun you give it, the happier they're going to be. This is going to be hardy in zones 4 to 9. And it is going to be about 4 feet by 4 feet. So a nice big shape. Love the Starry Night because it does have those massive blooms and like near black foliage. Look at all of those buds on this plant. I love this plant. So I don't have one currently in my garden, so we are going to fix that and we are going to put her in the garden today. That's where the Violet Cascade is currently. We're going to switch her out. Now, we're also going to kind of, quote, recycle some plants in the fact that I have 2 sprinter boxwoods right here. If you will remember, these sprinter boxwoods, and then I've got 2 little tater tots. Both of those are proven winter shrubs that I had in containers for last winter. So the sprinter boxwoods were in the urns on the back patio. So right, those beautiful western urns from Unique Stone, they were in there and they were teeny-tiny. They have had some beautiful growth, very happy. So we're going to incorporate those. And then the tater tots were in containers by the sidewalk. And I had some like violas planted around them because I wanted to see how the tater tots would do for me. I got them as quart-sized containers and they are growing quite nicely and very happy. So we're going to put those 4 plants are going to go in to help define a little bit of the border because they are evergreen, so they will always be there. And then we're also going to add 3 quinces. Now these are new. You can see them right here. Of course, these are from our friends at Proven Winners and the folks at Spring Meadow. This is Double Take Eternal White. Hopefully that will show very nicely. This is a new quince, and this one is really fun because I think you can tell from its habit is that it's definitely going to be wider than it is tall. I had pruned it earlier in the season and kind of cut it back a little bit, and it was branching out. I'm not going to trim them now because I don't want to cut any of my blooms off for next year, because quince do bloom on old growth. So we want to prune this later on, like immediately after it blooms, if you need to prune it that way. Now, here are all of the specs, if you can see that. Now, this needs lots of sun, at least 6 hours of sun, hardy in zones 5 to 9, 2 to 4 tall, 4 to 5 wide. And we're going to space these about probably 4 to 6 feet apart from each other. And I'm going to really space them apart because I want to kind of, really fill in that area back there. Now, these are thornless. Big, huge, beautiful, large flowers that kind of look like little camellias, and a very long blooming. They're great for cutting gardens, borders, hedges, all the fun things, and this requires moist, well-drained soil. Once they're established, they are drought tolerant, and so that will be perfect out front. So we're gonna add these. I currently do not have any quince. Nope, no quince in my garden. So this is really fun, and but it is a really nice long bloomer. Of course, like most quince, it will be a beautiful spring bloomer. And then as the season goes on, you'll have more repeat blooms, and it will do really well. So excited to try that. What we're gonna do is I'm going to grab these plants, I'm gonna place them and figure out exactly where I want to put them, and then I'll meet you back here in just a couple minutes. Jackson and I got the plants placed, and so I'm going to show you where we're going to put them. All right, we're going to start with the hibiscus and the butterfly bush that is already in the ground. So I'm going to move and put the hibiscus just a little bit further down than what I have the violet cascade. So this guy's coming out, this guy's going to go in right here. We're going to take the violet cascade and we're going to move it down right in this area right here. So it still fills in, nice, big, beautiful size, because both the hibiscus and the buddleia will be both roughly the same shape and size, completely different colors of foliage, bloom types, everything will be different, but it will really fill in that whole area once they are nice, full, and mature. But it leaves me little pockets, like where Brenna is standing, if I ever want to put in some perennials, and you know me, I am sure that I will. So here we go. Down here, we put the sprinters, because I had 2 of them, so I basically kind of framed the edges of this flower bed. So there's one on this corner, and then you can see down there on the end I have the other one. That way I have to, and it just kind of balances the bed without being like very clearly obvious that that's what I'm doing. So it gives some symmetry, it gives some balance to the bed. That way, if I want to just go crazy, which I know I will, and I'll do onesies in here and different kinds of stuff, it still brings consistency to the bed, as does the quince and the tater tots. So the Double Take Eternal White, I went ahead and spaced those out. I came about 2.5, 3 feet of my feet off of the line and let that just fill in. Now I'm not, again, using this as a hard line, and right now it'll be kind of harder to tell where the border is, but essentially I'm giving room for these plants when they are mature to come over and just kind of hang over and kiss this area, making sure that I have this whole way as a pathway, plenty of room. So the quinces are dotted down through there with the tater tots, the 2 tater tots spaced in between the 2. Well, 2 tater tots between the 3. That way, again, it gives balance and consistency to this bed, because really past this point, I really could just have one of something. Like I have the one El Nino down there, I have one of the phenomenal lavender down there, and that's just, I'm gonna have plenty of opportunity and space and freedom to do that and just let these go. While we're talking about El Nino, can we just talk about how much this thing has grown? Oh my goodness. absolutely loving how this thing is growing. I did go in and choose 3 of the main stems. These are going to be my trunks, and so I'm going to keep them maintained. What I'm also going to do is, maybe if I do it today, if I have time and I'm not dying of heat, is I'm going to come up and take off those leaves off the bottom. I'm really training this to go up and to be like a multi-trunk tree. So what we're going to do is, the humidity is really starting to crank here. I'm already starting to glisten. I'm going to get my power planter auger. This is the 9-inch drill that I'm going to be using. That's great for 3 gallons. I know that my sprinters, I believe it's either a 5 or a 7 gallon. I don't suspect that the roots have already wrapped around there, because I just moved it, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, not even that long. So those will come out. I have a lot of loose potting soil around that. No big deal. Everybody's going to get biotone, and everybody is going to get placed and planted with about 1 inch of their root ball sticking up. That way drains really well and nobody rots. The only one that I'll probably plant flush will be the hibiscus, because those hibiscus are bog plants. They love the water. The more water you can give them, the happier they are. So I will probably plant Starry Starry Night nice and level with the ground. So I set up the camera. Y'all can watch me work. Today's project is complete. Feels good to have it done, I tell you. Yes, I am a hot, sweaty mess. The Lord was gracious enough to give me some good cloud coverage. So I wasn't in the full sun for very long, but the heat is not that bad. But it's the humidity, the dew point, man, they are cranking today. I mean, it's the middle of August in North Carolina. What do you expect, Jenny? I mean, right? So that's why we're out here early and we're done. So let me just walk you through and show you how everything looks, and hopefully you'll be able to see my plan, hopefully coming to life a little bit. Of course, right, we have got the Starry Starry Night right here on the corner with the Violet Cascade butterfly bush. And now Violet Cascade, she's starting to protest a little bit. She's not very happy with me that I moved her. Now, I did not disrupt any roots because, my gosh, poor thing, she's only been in the ground for, I don't know, a week. So her roots were starting to come out a little bit, like I could see them with the root ball, but just getting moved. So she's pitching a little hissy fit right now, but she will be just fine. I did not water these shrubs except for the hibiscus because the ground is so saturated and the plants themselves were already wet. This is just, it's normal. She's fine. I'll keep an eye on her. It's like a toddler. Ignore the hissy fit, move on, she'll be fine. Starry Night, man, so happy in this little corner right here. Cannot wait to see this grow and develop. It should absolutely take off even this season. Being in the ground, they have a very vigorous root system. All of your perennial hibiscus have that vigorous root system, and they thrive in the heat and the humidity. The more sun you give them, the more water you give them, the warmer the temperatures, the faster they grow, the more blooms they put on, and the happier the plant is. So I expect to see some really good growth and flowers from her for the next month before we start to get some cooler temperatures, drier temperatures as the season progresses. But I do love this variety. If you ever see a perennial hibiscus from our friends at Walter's Gardens, grab it, because the same breeders that do these hibiscus also are responsible for, of course, the summerifics, and I adore them. So they are great perennials, hardy from zones 4 to 9, because we've had a lot of people ask, is this cold hardy? Yeah, if you're in zones 4 to 9, absolutely it's cold hardy. I'm a 7B here in North Carolina. I don't even have to worry about this thing getting too cold in the wintertime. Great, so go for it. Now, hopefully this is where you're gonna be able to see kind of the vision come to life. Starting here with the sprinter boxwood on the corner, and then wrapping around to the other sprinter. So hopefully you can kind of see that loose curve of a line all the way back. I've removed the hose so that way you really can see it how I intend for it to be. But just imagine, like the sprinters, I think everybody can get the sprinters, and the tater tots are what, like 2 to 3 feet wide. You can keep them managed in there. Of course, my biggest ones are going to be my Quints, that double take eternal white. They are going to be my bigger ones, and it's just going to fill in and give me a nice soft edge through here and kind of an obvious walking path. So really excited to see how everybody's doing. As long as everybody stays alive and is happy, through to the winter, then I am a very happy girl. Now, you did see me go ahead and prune on a little bit of our El Nino. So that El Nino, remember, is relatively new from our friends at Proven Winners, and this is like a desert orchid. So this is going to eventually turn into like a small tree, like a crepe myrtle type tree. So we've got those multi-trunks coming. So I've been kind of training it this season, and you can see where I've got those 3 trunks, and then you can see, and you saw me go ahead and prune back these leaves right here. That way I am trying to train it into being that multi-trunk tree. Of course, it does those beautiful pinky purple snapdragon type flowers on it. Yeah, so it's going to be really pretty. I just cannot believe how much it has grown. It loves it hot. So if you're those people that are in the really warm zones, this El Nino is going to be a great option for you, and it will be a really fun kind of an interest of like that small tree. The stalks, the stems, trunks, whatever you want to call them, will have like a kind of a silvery gray look to them. So it'll be a nice different kind of color contrast to the other things that are going on in the garden here. But yeah, so it's all coming together. I mean, all this whole space is coming together. Remember, this was, this was brushy woods mess, and we cleared it out to make room for the chicken coop. I know some of you were having heart attacks when we were pulling out those trees, but they were what I call junk trees. They had absolutely no future. The pines were like, some of them were leaning at like a 45-degree angle, and that just, it's not gonna work, y'all. So we cleared those out and given us lots of room to replant, right? So sometimes you have to clean things out to replant. I wanna show you, I found this interesting. I just was having a thought to myself, sometimes I just have these random thoughts. But I was taking a little bit of a shade water break, and I was back here. So some of you, right, so if you're not from the Southeast, you're maybe from out west or the Midwest or the plains, the central part of the country, right? And you're not used to having like all this green vegetation, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's taking out trees. I want to show you what what our natural habitat looks like, because this is, I'm walking just towards the woods, right? So you can see chicken coop right back there. And I'm going to turn this because I want you to see this is what our natural environment would be. If we did not clean out any trees, underbrush, this is what it's going to look like. Very thick, dense woods. You've got, of course, beautiful trees in here, right? I mean, we've got right here alone, just a massive, we've got oaks in here. We've got maples, we've got pines, we've got tulip poplars, all sorts of big, massive, beautiful trees. But then you also have, you know, little small underbrush trees in there, and grapevine that's very pesky, and briars and honeysuckle. So those kinds of things. These are the trees that we took out. Don't fear, we're going to cut them up. They're going to be great firewood for the fire pit. But I just thought it was just an interesting kind of a side note. If you're not familiar with kind of the native natural habitat of the Southeast, this is what it looks like. Piedmont of North Carolina. Piedmont just simply means it's like a geographical region of where we live in North Carolina. So you have like the mountains, you have the foothills, Piedmont, coastal plains, sand hills, then the coast. So anyway, that just kind of works you all the way through. We have everything here in North Carolina. So hopefully that was your little lesson for the day on geography and natural habitats. We're done. It is, I don't know what time it is, like 11 and something. And so we're gonna go in and we're gonna take cold showers. Brennan and I are about to roast, and we're gonna get some housework done, because this is what you do in the afternoon in North Carolina. Work in the morning and housework in the afternoon. So as always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Get out there and do something in your garden. I don't care if you're out there for 2 seconds and you pull 2 weeds. Just get out there, do something, be productive. You will be grateful and thankful, and yeah, have fun out there, y'all. Sweat a little bit, cleanses you out, you'll be fine. All right, see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.